Hi, this is Brad with Copper Creek Cuts, a lawn care company in Northeast Florida, and today we're in the garage. We're taking a look at an A-frame sign. Now, I'm not sure when this video is airing in the grand scheme of things, but starting September I should be starting to take care of an HOA that's nearby. It's a good size for me. It's one I can manage by myself, and they accepted my bid, which means they aren't going with the lowest bidder, which is always a good thing. So, that being said, I've been trying to get a few more things for the business that maybe you would have if you do commercial work and not so much if you do residential. And one of those is this A-frame sign. Now, I actually purchased this very early on in the beginning of my business, and what I used it for was this. So the general idea was I would put this up, anytime I mowed grass, and it would tell people the company name, the price, the phone number they could call. And while I think it is a good idea or a good practice to do, one, I think this is too wordy. There's too much stuff going on here. And then the other thing is I was too lazy to set this up and break it down every single time, so I never actually used it. Oh, and if you're curious, these actually just Velcro on. So you see there, it's got six Velcro tabs that match up to 6 Velcro tabs here. And so that way you can have really any number of signs and just keep swapping it out. The new plan is, now that I'm dealing with this HOA, from what I've seen, it can be a little bit tricky because the number of bosses you have when you're doing an HOA goes from 1 on a residential account to however many number of houses. So with more potential bosses comes more potential complaints, right? And that's what I hear a lot, that with HOAs you get a lot more complaints. So one of the things that I'm going to try and do to head off some potential complaints is just make myself more visible. And one of the main ways I'm going to do that is this is an area that has one entrance and one exit. So if you leave or come in, you've got to go through one spot. So these signs here, please pardon our mess with the company logo. This is going to go at the front entrance of the neighborhood anytime I'm working there. And the idea is that if someone at some point in their trip through the neighborhood sees a mess and they're like, oh man, that lawn guy didn't clean up, and they go on their way and they don't see me, maybe because I'm behind them or in a different part of the neighborhood where they aren't at, they're going to have a negative viewpoint of me and my company, right? They might complain, Brad didn't blow off some section of sidewalk, when it could just be I haven't got to it yet. So this is going to be put at the front of the entrance so that anybody who's coming or going, whenever they see that issue, they'll say, okay, I don't know where he is, but he's still on site, so maybe that'll get cleaned up later. And that lines up with some research and studies, and if I can find them, I'll put them here. I know the times I have tried to find them, it's been tough, but the basic idea is that people, specifically customers in our application, are much more likely and much more able to accept delays if you just let them know about it ahead of time. So what does that mean? If it's raining and I call somebody and say, I'm not going to get to your yard today, I'm sorry because it's raining, we'll get you in as soon as possible, they're going to be much more willing or likely to say, okay, that's all right, whenever you get to it's fine, thank you for letting me know. But if it rains and 3 days go by and their yard's still too wet to mow, but I've never let them know, and then they call me and say, Brad, where are you at? It's been 4 days, you haven't, when are you going to get there? And then I say, well, I'm sorry, weather conditions have been real bad, I haven't been able to get to it, and even though it hasn't rained, everything's still wet. They are going to be much less likely or much less willing to accept that because they didn't know about the delay and they've had to initiate contact with me. Anytime somebody gets contacted by a company, that's better than the person having to contact the company. So those two things together are kind of what, I don't know if you could say inspired, that's not the right word, but that's what inspired me to go ahead and get these ordered. They're pretty cheap. I think they ended up being about 26 or 25, somewhere around there, bucks a piece, and another couple bucks for the Velcro since I'm going to need more Velcro. Just a quick video on what I'll be using this A-frame sign for, and possibly a couple of things that might help you if you deal with HOAs, focusing on the fact that more communication, more frequent communication is going to help people accept delays or mistakes or whatever you want to call it a little bit easier, and it my goodness, I haven't even been drinking yet, and it might make your job a little bit easier. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it.